What's up everybody? In this video, I'm gonna go over a few simple ways to make product research much easier for you and to kind of simplify the whole process. Let's get into it. 5 ways to make product research very simple. Now, number 1 is using obscure websites to get ideas. I'm sure you've heard every other person talk about finding niches or sub niches or micro niches that people aren't aware of, something out of the ordinary. And while that is good advice, you're kind of left wondering, well, how do I find that? If you're not a part of a micro niche or aware of some sub niche or something different than what you've always been exposed to, you're not really gonna have an idea of where to go to find these crazy, weird, obscure products and markets and types of people who would buy something that isn't readily available at Walmart or Target or wherever. So what I like to do to get the creative juices flowing is I have a couple different websites I like to check out, and I'll have those linked in the description below. But namely, the ones off the top of my head are coolhunter.com, shutupandtakemymoney.com. Etsy is really good too. You can find a lot of stuff on Etsy that will give you ideas for something you could probably manufacture and sell, or you could find it being sold from AliExpress or Alibaba. A lot of Etsy sellers buy stuff from China and sell it on Etsy and say it's handmade. It's not actually handmade. And the last obscure website isn't really an obscure one, but I'll go to Google and I'll search top 30 random niches or top 20 niches of like growing niches or something like that, some variation of that search. But I will literally just go to Google and search random niches, strange niches, whatever, just stuff like that. And you'll be surprised how much you can find just from a simple Google search, because there's a lot of people out there making these lists and putting them together and showing you that different markets can be broken up to different sectors, and there's probably a sub niche of some kind in a market that you're a part of that you haven't heard of before. So use any of the websites I mentioned, do some homework, do some research, and find websites on your own. If you sit there for a little bit, you'll learn how to use Google properly, going beyond the first link. You actually do a really good job at finding some other websites you can use and coming up with different product ideas. The main point of these websites is for them to be a launching pad for you to kind of get things going and to become more aware of what else is out there. It doesn't necessarily mean you're gonna find a product on these websites, but you're bound to get some really good ideas to carry over into your next phase of product research. So just understand it's more a matter of getting things moving and progressing forward than it is about finding something on the spot. The biggest thing here is you're gonna use these websites to give you ideas and you're gonna build from there. Number 2 is verticals and horizontals. Now, these work when you kind of have an idea or you found kind of an obscure product and you want to see what else is available out there. So it's just a method of either looking deeper into the niche that you're in or applying that product to other niches. So going over vertical first. Vertical means if I find something obscure and random that I didn't know existed, like a ferret hammock, what I'll do is I'll look at other products that people buy for their ferrets that aren't readily available. So if people are buying hammocks for their ferrets, chances are there's a bunch of other stuff people buy for their ferrets and a bunch of other money being spent in that niche. So that's what going vertical means. It means you stay within the niche that you're in, but you look for other products because maybe the one you found is saturated, or you don't know how to market it, or maybe there's too many people selling it on Amazon, whatever. Now, when you go horizontal with it, that's taking the specific product you found and applying it to other niches. So now that I know ferret hammocks exist, I can go horizontal and see if there are hammocks being made for other rodents, other animals, other types of pets. So what I could do is see if there's dog hammocks or cat hammocks or hamster hammocks or something like that. Because the product itself being so obscure means that if it applies on a horizontal scale, chances are it's not gonna be super saturated and there's gonna be a very tight-knit community, or there's gonna be a very small community of people that buys it. And when I say small, I mean small enough that it's not super mainstream, but big enough to support a business. All right, number 3 is gonna be products. 3, that was a 4. Anyway, number 3 is gonna be products that people forgot about. So one of my favorite examples to use here, which might be, this is more for illustrating a point than it is for, product research, but when technology changes, some products become obsolete. And if you look at Polaroids or typewriters, for instance, we use Polaroids for this example. Polaroid cameras started to drop in sales quite a bit as digital cameras came out. People didn't really want Polaroids because why would you want to go out and buy film and all this other crap when you could just have it all right there digitally in front of you, right? So Polaroid cameras sales declined So much so that in the early 2000s, especially with like people having home printers and everything going digital, a lot of people thought Polaroids were donezo. They were just gonna disappear. Nobody was ever gonna use them. And for a while it seemed like that. By all means, the internet and digital age should have destroyed Polaroids. But what happened was sales declined and kind of bottomed out at one point. And then somewhere along the way, Polaroids were rebranded and kind of blew up with the younger market. And now people are buying Polaroids left and right. You can clearly see that the market has come back and is doing very, very well for itself. So in that sense, when you think about products that people forgot about, that's a good example of how just because something sold before and then kind of tanked doesn't mean that it's going to be down there forever, right? It is very much possible that you take an old product, you brand it, repackage it, and kind of give it a new spin, and it can do really, really well. 3 years ago, everybody was buying fidget spinners. They were everywhere. You could buy them at gas stations, and everybody wanted one. Now, while it was a trend and kind of a craze, it was something that people really enjoyed because people are very fidgety and have ADHD and just want to do something with their hands all the time. And just because fidget spinners aren't doing as well as they used to, doesn't mean that they're not set to make a comeback. You could come up with some new way to brand them or package them or just kind of put a different spin on them, or add something new to it, and fidget spinners could really make a comeback. And these are just two different examples. I get that these are pretty big examples, but if you're talking about Amazon or drop shipping or anything like that, what you can do is go to Ecom Hunt or go to Facebook videos and look at products that were popular in 2016, 2017 that you don't really see around anymore. See if there's a new way for you to brand them and sell them. See if they do really well on a different ad platform. It's very much possible to take a product that kind of bottomed out and bring it back and do really well with it. Number 4 is going to be using your own life and your own home to find product ideas. Now, what's really important here is if you actually look at the markets you're a part of, the sub niches, the sub markets, whatever you want to call it, there's probably quite a few things that you do or have access to in your life through friends or family that are a little bit more obscure than you realize. They've been normal to you because it's something you've always been exposed to or done, and it doesn't really seem obscure. But if you really zoom out and look at your life, there's probably something you do or are a part of, or someone in your home is a part of, that isn't super aware to the general public. So you could do some deeper research into that market. You're already a part of it, so you're gonna have a lot of background information as it is, and you could see if you can come up with a product that's a little bit more that and you could see if you can come up with a product that fits into this obscure niche that you're a part of that seems very normal to you. Another good strategy here is looking around at your life and looking over the last 10 years and seeing what you constantly spend money on. So outside of food, coffee, and whatever else, there's probably some products you've bought over and over and over again. And if you have spent a couple $100 over products over the last 10 years, chances are you know a lot about that product, you know a lot about the market that it comes from and the market that it is advertised to, and you could probably come up with something similar or better. And the great thing about this is you're already gonna have a head start because you are the target market, because you've clearly been buying that product for a long time and you buy it over and over and over again. All right, number 5, a lot of big products that we see as a single unit are made up of a lot of smaller products. So a good example here is washing machines and dryers. While each of those is its own individual unit, it's very obvious that there's a lot of smaller parts inside that make up that whole individual unit. The important thing to understand here is while manufacturers do put those appliances and stuff like that together and sell them as single units, that doesn't mean that you can't get a piece of that action. DIY is becoming a very big kind of movement. People are relying on themselves. People are learning how to do things themselves, and that includes fixing small appliances or just kind of looking for ways to do things on their own as opposed to paying someone to come do it. Now, I'm going to use the example of washing machines just because it's simple and relatively easy, and I know people who've done this to make a lot of money. So when it comes to washing machines, understand that while it is one single unit sold by a big company like Whirlpool or whatever, those companies still have to buy those smaller parts from other people. If you take the washing machine in your house, look up the model number, and then go to Amazon and search for products for that machine, chances are there's going to be a bunch of people selling them that aren't the manufacturer itself of the machine. So all that goes to tell you is there's a market for all this stuff, and you could do very well with it if you kind of take bigger products and understand, hey, what else is going on here? What parts are being used? What are the smaller, more modular aspects of this big product that I could sell and do really well with? Anyway, that's pretty much it for this video. I hope you learned a lot. And if you have questions, be sure to leave them in the comments below, and make sure to hit the like button and subscribe. And if you know someone who's struggling with product research, send this video to them. Hopefully it'll help them out. And as always, if you have any questions, feel free to hit me up on Twitter or email. All the links are below. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you guys next time.
Love gets struck in your chest, now you fucked. Worship money like a god, how we trust in our funds, leaving all appalled up front. Stunt with your expensive clothes, tell hoes how your shoes with the grand. Hard to understand the synapse that your brain only has. Cause of that, I don't see you as a man. You're a pawn in the chess game of life. What's the price for acceptance on earth?